Hail and welcome to Witching Out Loud, the podcast where we celebrate the art of witchcraft and conjuring magic in your daily life. Join us for a cozy chat about witchy ways and practical woo-woo.
I'm Crystal with Unveiled, necromancer, spiritual trainer, and mentor.
And I'm Kate, priestess for hire and an intuitive tarot reader. Breathwork refers to the breathing techniques that intentionally channel and focus on the breath. For thousands of years, Eastern medicine practices such as Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine have employed breathing techniques to calm the body and the mind. It's a way to activate your body's parasympathetic nervous system and help you de-escalate and de-stress. So in this episode, we're going to cover what is breathwork, the effect on the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems, and then several specific breathwork techniques.
So I'm going to start us off with a guided breath meditation, which helps us to know that we're safe and centered. So it's something you can take yourself through anytime you're feeling that you need to get yourself centered into who you are. So settle yourself into a nice, comfortable position. Your eyes can be open or closed, whatever is comfortable and natural for you. And I want you to start off with just natural breathing. Don't try to lengthen it. Don't try to deepen it. Just notice what your breath does without any guidance. Now gently invite a slow, steady rhythm. No holding, just inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Just work to make it a nice, steady rhythm. No holding, no stress, no force. Now feel your body supported by the chair, the floor, or the earth beneath you. If thoughts arise, just let them come and go like weather. Allow the wind to carry them away. Allow the water to wash them away. They'll be there for you later. Just focus on that steady rhythm. Inhale, exhale. If emotions rise up, you don't have to engage them. Allow the wind or the water to carry them away. You can always return to the sensation of your feet on the ground, your back on the chair, or the sound of my voice. Inhale, exhale. In interest of time, we'll come back, but if you wish, you can sit in this space for about 15 minutes, just allowing yourself to steady rhythm, inhale and exhale, and just notice how much more grounded and centered you are in yourself. I know I feel more grounded and centered in the podcast, so welcome. Let's talk about breathwork.
So it's the practice of intentionally controlling your breathing patterns to influence your emotional, mental, and physical state. And breathing is one of the very few automatic instincts that humans have as a species. There's not many other things we do. Everything else we have to be taught, but we do breathe. And so this manipulating it is consciously using something that we already have to create a shift in the speed, the depth, even the quality, and it specifically helps us move between fight or flight or safe and secure.
Absolutely. And breath work I came to through yoga and the practice of Kundalini. So a lot of my skills were learned in that space, and then also through therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely when you're processing some trauma, the therapist has you do lots of different breath work techniques. So that's where I came to most of this. And breath work, for those who haven't really used it or had it defined, is just the various breathing practices that you use to consciously control either your mental state, your physical state, or your emotional state. So it has a huge therapeutic effect on the body in ways that we don't even talk about. And I'll get into the nervous system stuff a little bit later after we've gotten it all defined. But I also find that breath work is a great way to get into meditation. I think we've talked about this so many times on the podcast. Like, you can't work great magic if you can't meditate and control where your brain goes. But so many people are in fight or flight, especially in our on fire world. But if you're in trauma, it's really hard to get into a meditative state and kind of control your brain. If you have any kind of neurodivergence, it's really hard to tame your monkey mind. So breath work's a really good way to start meditation. So I often, yesterday, I had such a terrible week at work And I wanted to do meditation because it was the spring equinox. And I'm like, I can't focus my brain. And I guess I'll just light a fucking candle. I don't know. I'm like, or you could breathe first, and that might help get you in the mindset. And so breath work for me always recenters my mind. So that's why I wanted to bring it up today, because I think the way most of us are feeling, we might need breath work or movement to get us into meditation in the first place.
Yeah. And so many of our yoga or meditation or magic practices start with take a deep cleansing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, and feel it all go down into the earth. That's a breathwork technique right there that puts you in a mindset of we're about to do something intentional and thoughtful. We're about to work a thing. So even just a very basic cleansing and grounding breath is already a start to, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to be different than I was when I walked in.
Mm-hmm. I just read a cool article on Substack. Love Substack. And it was about breathing through the feet. And
I
that
do
we
that.
have
I do that,
20,
by the way.
20,000 nerve endings in our feet.
Mm-hmm.
And, I definitely do the grounding and like allow the energy to come up. I never called it breathing through my feet, but I was drawing energy up through my feet. But they talked about if you're forward, that's bringing it in. And then going back onto your heels is allowing it to go out. And breathing is cycling through your feet. So many of us bring it in and then it just gets stagnant in our body. So bringing it in and then allowing it to go back through and down through your heels. It was a fascinating article. I'm probably going to write something up on it for Unveiled to talk about in my meditation class, because as I was working on it, I'm like, oh, this is different, but I don't know enough about it to
My
talk about
energy
it.
healer taught me how to do that. Because when I'm working with her, I'm laying horizontal, but she's like all the way in and then out through the soles of your feet. And I was like, wait, hold on. Explain
What?
that again. My feet breathe, and she's like, yep, they are portals. Same thing. You can breathe through your feet. It makes a really big difference when I'm journeying, especially when I'm preparing to journey. If I've exhaled through my feet, I feel like I connect better with the journey than otherwise. It's spectacular, you guys. Absolutely explore breathing through your feet.
It makes sense that you would be more connected because you're getting rid of all the stagnant energy, anything else that was in there, like really, truly releasing it out of your body, not just your lungs.
Right. Yeah.
Love it.
So I
I
came
love
to
magic.
breathwork
It's so fun.
I know, right? Like just one bodies, but two etheric bodies. And then also the shit we're learning while we're learning how to do magic. Brilliant. I came to breathwork during the pandemic. I was on the heels of a couple of years of pretty intense therapy post divorce and confronting a lot of codependence about myself, as well as like every really difficult damage story that I carried. And so I was really panicking during the pandemic, like the isolation that I felt. And I was on a call with my brother and he was like, so there's a thing called box breathing and we're going to do that right now. So that was the first. And then I found this book called, I'm going to read it specifically. It's called Breath, the New Science of a Lost Art. And that published in 2020. And so it was very ironic that a book about breathing published during a pandemic of the lungs. It's by James Nestor and it's got its critiques. Folks, it's anecdotal. It's along the lines of I put myself through a lot of different experiments, and here's what my experience of those experiments was. He goes through the science of breathing. He talks about the importance of nasal breathing as opposed to mouth breathing and the things that have changed in us physiologically that make us more mouth breathy than nasal breathy. He does experiments on himself of taping his mouth shut at night, which I've seen mouth taping become a lot more popular in the past few years, and then measuring like CO2 saturation and things like that on himself. So the science might be a little soft, and that's the biggest critique of the book, but it introduced me to ideas and concepts that I had really no grounding in. And it was a very opportune time of, wow, I'm going to really spiral out if I don't figure out how to control this sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system. So I recommend the book as a starting place to anybody. He explores the science as well as the anecdotal of here's what you could try.
I like it. I'll have to check it out. Some of the things I want to talk about before I jump into parasympathetic, because I think especially adult learners and women or those who are socialized as women, like we always want to do everything perfect, like the first time. And that's
Of
not
course, it's not worth
realistic.
doing otherwise. Didn't you know that?
And
Come on.
breathwork and meditation are never perfect. And I think that's why so many people give up on it after the first or second try. It's like, yeah, I can't control my mind. Well, of course you can't. You've been not controlling it and allowing it to run amok. My brain just totally went hocus pocus on me. Amok, 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 amok. Get out. So we're taught that it's clearing the mind and that we're perfectly blank. Meditation and breath work was taught by men, for men, and studied on men's bodies, not women. Men can clear their mind. They don't have a lot up there.
Now, Crystal.
They can. Like you see all of them. I talk to my best friend about this all the time. Like I'll test him. What are you thinking about? Nothing. And he can literally just be sitting there thinking about nothing.
I'm so envious.
What?
Yeah.
Right?
I know. I completely agree. And it's not even a slam on the men folk. It's something about their brain or the way they're socialized to use their brain or whatever it is. They get to turn it off and exit.
Yeah, women's brains don't work that way. And there are men out there who don't work that way as well. And I think the more intuitive you are, the more spiritual you are, the harder it is to compartmentalize because we're getting more data points. If you're neurodivergent, you're getting more data points. So breath work is a really great way to start training your body, and allowing yourself to do it messy is totally a great place to start. I talk about like the 10% rule. If you can do it 10%, well, then you're fucking good. Right?
You've
We
made a
don't
start.
have to be perfect. So just because you can't do it 100% perfect doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. If you can do it 50%, then babe, you're at 50%. You're at 100% capacity. You're doing just fine. So
You did it.
Keep that in mind as you move forward into breath work and meditation. And I've really been leaning hard into breath work in my teaching because as I'm learning, all meditation was taught with that male mind, right? Women weren't even allowed to be in the temples for I don't even know how long. So there's nothing wrong if your mind wanders. There's nothing wrong if you feel restless, especially if you came through trauma and stillness feels unsafe. Then do the breath work and move at the same time, baby. You're good. I had to move at the same time for a long time. So just give your nervous system options.
After reading the book Breath, I was unemployed for a year. And well, during, while, conjunction, whatever. But I had a really long unemployment span and I was swimming every day at the Y. I would go in the morning and swim for like 45 minutes. And I started using that as an exercise for how long can I hold my breath? How many strokes can I hold my breath? And my goal was more and more and more and more to see whether I could hold my breath through the whole length of the lap. And I don't think I ever got to that point. But the idea of moving and breathing, of coordinating, maybe if I take 5 steps and then a breath, it is foundational and monumentally impactful to associate it with movement as well, because I was panicked, I was unemployed, I was isolated, I was kind of terrified, and I was coming through some of the hardest therapy I've ever done in my whole life. And sitting and breathing it really wasn't working very well. So I 1,000 times support this idea of if you can connect it with movement, brilliant. Something that you do repetitively that gives you a count of some time. I did it with, I started with a metronome so that I could hear the ping in my body and feel what the count felt like. Because otherwise I would race, be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I just couldn't stay consistent. So I also recommend using a metronome. And you can just get an app and put it on your phone.
Yeah.
I just downloaded a metronome app.
I do it while I'm cleaning house. So I do breath work while sweeping because I don't really need a lot of brain cells to sweep the house. I kind of know how to sweep the floor. So I do breath work while I'm sweeping the floor. And sometimes I do it in sync with the music that's playing. I do it while I'm gardening. I do it while I'm out walking the dog. So it doesn't have to be something that you sit and do. It can be while you're folding the laundry. Yeah. Let's talk about the breathwork effect on the nervous system, because this is the science behind why this works and why it's important. And that is that our nervous system has these different modes to it. And, you hear them out there like your sympathetic nervous system. But what does it do, right? our sympathetic nervous system is focused on protection and survival. That's our fight, flight, freeze, appease, fawn. So when we're in that traumatic, when we're in danger, like Kate was talking about, we're in that sympathetic nervous system. And breathing can help get us into our parasympathetic nervous system, which supports rest and digestion and connection, all the places we want to be in. So doing this breath work can help, and meditation, I know you don't want to hear it, can get us into that parasympathetic nervous system and get us out of that fight, flight, freeze, or appease. And then specifically, we have the ventral vagal nervous system. And that is truly where it promotes that safety and connection. So doing breath work together in ritual has an exponential effect on our ventral vagus to create connection, to create community. And we are missing that so much in our world.
Yeah.
And
we
then
used to sing together, and that requires an inhale and an exhalation in sync with a group of people.
Perfect.
We don't do
example.
that in community. We don't experience that.
Yeah. And then you have the dorsal vagal branch of the nervous system, and that's where shutdown is and immobilization. I was literally there last night. I was in complete shutdown. I had used every ounce of my energy, all spoons, and plus I borrowed a bunch of spoons from next week and the week after. I was down for the count. That's why I had to move into my breathing to get myself, right? So we don't want to be in dorsal vagal. And so often we wait until we're in full shutdown to start doing the things instead of when we start to feel fight, flight, freeze, fawn, right? Because it's hierarchical. It's a hierarchy. So okay. They're in a hierarchy, which means we're preferred to be in that ventral vagal space where we're safety and connection. And when we fall out of that, then we fall into more of the parasympathetic, which still has some rest, digestion, and connection to it. But then we start to get triggered. We move into the sympathetic nervous system, our fight flight. And if we don't address it, then we fall into shutdown and immobilization in the dorsal vagal. So they're hierarchical. So we can notice ourselves in any part of that, do some breathing and not make it all the way to shutdown. But we tend to not do self-care until we hit shutdown.
It's very true.
And it makes it harder to get back up out of it. And it takes us longer to recover. So my hope is that you, in conjunction with me, will all work together to be a little better at it tomorrow and the next day and the next day.
To breathe while we do the daily things we're already doing. We're habit stacking. Habit stacking? Yes. It's called habit stacking when you tie things together like that. Start as small and as simple as you can and go for the wins.
Yeah. And breath is one of the only tools that we have that helps us gently do this. Movement is another. And we're not trying to force calm. We're practicing regulation, the ability to move into safety in small, little doable ways. So it's about learning to listen to your body. So as we jump into some of these exercises, it's not about overriding your fear response, right? It's not, I'm in fear, the bear is chasing me. The man is standing aggressively in front of me. I should breathe and regulate. No, get the hell out of there, sis, then breathe.
Don't gaslight yourself.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
But we're good at it, man. So that's why it's important. And I wanted to talk about it. So let's get into some of the ways that you can use it. The first one is just foundational breath awareness. I did it a little bit in our opening, and that just signals safety, right, to our nervous system. Because if I'm breathing really, really fast, that signals to my nervous system that I'm not safe, right? What happens when we start to cry? Right? Oh my gosh, my nervous system starts to panic a little bit. But if you just breathe naturally and notice yourself breathing naturally, it signals to your nervous system that you are safe. And sometimes that's all it can take. And that's all you have to do is just allow your breath to come back into a normal awareness. Not choppy, not erratic, no judgment, just natural breathing, right? Everyone can do that.
That's right.
Sometimes focusing on your breath makes people feel uncomfortable and you start to affect it. So listen to something else, like Kate was talking about. The metronome is perfect. I've never done that. But you could listen to water sounds. You could turn on a song that's really soothing and just listen to the song, and your breath will naturally do what your breath naturally does.
Because it's one of our few basic instincts. And there's an app out there called Breathwork. I used that for a little while as well. it'll guide you through these kinds of things as well.
Well, let's put that in the show notes.
Okay. Yeah. So another thing that's pretty foundational is diaphragmatic breathing. And your diaphragm is this large dome-shaped organ that sits in your abdomen. And it is, I'm going to read it out. Oh, we also call it belly breathing as well. But it's a muscle that helps you inhale and exhale. And it sits below your lung and hearts, and it's attached to your sternum. I didn't know it was attached to your sternum. And it's attached to the bottom of your rib cage, and it's attached to your spine. And going to your thoughts about the parasympathetic nervous system, many of our major arteries and our nervous system go through the diaphragm, which I didn't know. I've always conceived of the diaphragm as like a liver. It's like a thing over here, but it's got quite a horizontal component to it, and it creates pressure in our abdomen. And that's really important for elimination, for peeing and pooping. And it creates pressure upward into your esophagus and prevents acid reflux. So if you're experiencing acid reflux, it might be that you need some diaphragm toning, some help there. So this diaphragm is this accordion-like organ that sits in the middle of our abdomen and creates pressure up and pressure down. And my personal theory is, especially as women, but also men, we've been conditioned to have flat bellies. And when you breathe with your diaphragm, with your belly, you see your belly rise and fall. You get a bigger belly and a smaller belly as you inhale and exhale. I, myself personally, was very conditioned to not do that. I would breathe through my lungs and my shoulders instead so that my belly could continue to look flat. But there is a certain pleasingness to watching your belly rise and fall when you breathe with your diaphragm. So one, you're using the organ that was actually designed to help us breathe from the beginning. Two, you're using an organ that actually influences our blood flow and our nervous system. So in the same way that you would breathe with your lungs and your shoulders, let that air, let that contraction, the muscle, let that come out of your belly instead while you're doing any of these practices or just alone. And you'll begin to experience the same kind of regulation quickly.
And I thank you, Kate. I'd never really thought about my diaphragm at that level. And I appreciate that. In singing, right? We talk about it, but I never really understood how it was all connected. So thank you for that. One of the thoughts I had while you were talking is, yes, how much hatred we have for any kind of belly. And I've been trying to love my belly. Like I was laying on the chair just last night when I was doing my breathing exercises, and it was making my belly as big as it could possibly be. And I was like, you're so awesome. And just like loving on this part that we send so much freaking hatred to. But it's like holding all of these amazing things in our world. And yes, it's also holding some of the cheese and wine that I had for dinner. So it's fine.
Yep, it is. But diaphragm's important, and diaphragm is belly. So belly is important.
Belly is beautiful.
That's right.
Breathe into it, baby.
Because why not? Total tangent. I learned that because horses abandoned all of their toes except one, and they just stand on their toes, they also, when they run, they don't use their lungs to breathe. They evolved so that when they run, their diaphragm is shifting forward and backward in their bodies, and their diaphragm is shoving air and drawing air and shoving air. They don't inhale. They belly breathe through running and galloping. I'm not saying we should become racehorses, but I'm saying there are animals out there that have just abandoned, like in a fight or flight mode. My younger sister sent me this whole essay about because horses evolved to stand on one toe instead of multiple toes. As a result, their running changed and they breathe with the diaphragms when they're galloping. So every racehorse out there that you watch doing amazing feats is belly breathing.
That's awesome. Yeah. More belly breathing. Okay. I support this.
Do it. Okay, so another one is extended exhale breathing. And this is building on the box breathing. So the 4 in, hold for 4, 4 out, hold for 4. And you can use whatever counts work for you. This was a lot of what I was doing when I was swimming. Can I inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 7, inhale. And that count can change. We have written here in our notes, in through the nose for 4, exhale through the mouth or the nose for 6, and then go 6 to 8 rounds on that. But switch it up. I got to the point where I could like inhale for 5 and exhale for 9, and then hold for like 3. The deeper my exhale, the harder the hold was. It became like a little game as well. And it took my mind out. We are regulating and we must hold fast, but like, okay, well, I don't know, maybe I can exhale for 7 this time. I'm not sure. But create a pattern, hold to the pattern. I think a lot of the point is the pattern. But when we exhale for longer than we inhale, we are doing that elimination as well. We eliminate through our bladder and through our rectum, but we also eliminate through our breath. So part of when we were in COVID, an exercise that I had when I was sick, was to breathe down to the bottom of my lungs, to really open up the whole lung, because the idea was that like a lot of crud was accumulating in lungs at that point. So a longer exhale, also that too. Do all the exhales you need to do to get through 2026, my friends. So a longer exhale aids in elimination as well.
And extended exhale breathing is one I use at work all the time, and it's something you can do just to signal that your nervous system is safe. This really helps my neurodivergent brain. When I'm in a conversation, especially a sales conversation, a conflict conversations, I got to fire somebody, like that sort of thing, you can do an extended exhale breathing without a ton of thought. And it really helps calm your nervous system down so you can stay present in the conversations. So just making it longer, whatever that is, right? You don't even have to count, can help you in some of those situations. So I use it a lot. And box breathing, like there's a reason that has been thrown out all over in social media recently. It's for rapid stress management. Like the Navy SEALs use it when they're in high stress environments, which they are currently, to keep them focused and in that moment. So doing box breathing is why we do it in trauma, because we're in a high stress and it starts to signal our stress responses to come back down.
Interesting. I don't think anyone had connected those dots for me. Like my brother offered it to me in a time of stress, but not that this in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, in for 4, that very specifically is for high trauma, high stress.
I used it in scuba diving. So I'm underwater and you can feel the pressure of the water. And one of the things we had to do, and this is a hysterical story, me and my friend Joey are sitting at the bottom of the ocean floor along with our classmates and the instructors in front of us. And we, as part of certification, have to take our mask off and our breathing apparatus out, hold, put it back in, clear it, put it back on, clear it. And I was second to last. My friend was last. And we, one by one, our classmates would panic and shoot to the surface. And I'm sitting there like a Navy SEAL on the ocean floor because I took Kundalini and I just started doing box breathing. And so here I am. I literally looked like this, my eyes closed, just breathing in, 4, hold, 4, out, 4, hold, 4, in, 4. And Joey's like, I was sitting next to this woman, panicking my ass off. And she's just over here, calm as a cucumber, just like gently like a ballerina, breathing and taking her mask off. And I'm like, well, now I have to do it.
No going back now. The goddess of breath over here is like, no, we got this. Don't worry. That's fantastic.
It just keeps all the stress out. It does not allow it to even enter into your mind because all you're focused on is 4, 4, 4, 4. Yeah, I love some box breathing. I definitely do it anytime I get into a trauma response.
It's easy to reach for. Yeah.
The guided breath meditation is what we did in the introduction. That's very safety centered and can help you ground and center yourself into you. So definitely highly recommend. I also like 4, 7, 8 breathing. So your inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. And that is a little bit more advanced. So start with the box breathing first or the extended exhale. But this promotes deep relaxation and sleep. So I'll do this laying in bed when my mind's racing and I can't get it to shut up because it was running on high octane fuel all week to put people in jobs. Now I need to sleep. So instead of wine, 4, 7, 8 breathing. Yeah,
keep
really
that
good.
In my back pocket.
And that's a great one to do in our magical practice right before we step into our meditative state. Because what's deep relaxation? That's our alpha state. And the alpha state is where we go into meditation to really affect change and manifest in the world. So 4, 7, 8 breathing is what I'm doing right before I do magic. So I will do, my favorite visualization is I breathe in for 4 from the ground up through my feet. And then I hold it right there in my chest for 7. And then I exhale it up through the top of my head into the ether for 8. And then I bring it back down for 4, hold for 7, and then exhale through my feet. And that's what I do right before every magic practice. Sometimes I also like to take it in and I like do this yin yang kind of visualization in my center. And then I take it out through my arms too. Yeah. The whole body's invested.
I haven't quite gone there. Yeah, that's impressive. It made me think of, there are accounts on Instagram that create cute little animations so that you breathe with the balloon getting bigger and exhale with the balloon getting smaller, or a spiral getting wider and then a spiral getting smaller. And I don't remember if those are in the Breathwork app, but there are accounts on Instagram where you can find those kinds of, if visual helps you stay cued in and a metronome isn't quite the thing for you. Same.
Yeah. Those would be great for anyone with neurodivergence, ADHD, because it gives you more things to focus on. Yeah. With ADHD, the more points that you can have, so movement, visual, auditory, that's going to help keep you engaged in it and be able to stay focused. Alternate nostril breathing is one of my favorites. I go to this all the time at work. This is what Kate and I did to jump into recording the episode. So we did this before. And that's, I think I've done it on the podcast before. That's alternating nostrils. So you breathe in, you kind of hold your right nostril, breathe in through the left, and then out through the right. And do that. I usually do 6 to 7, somewhere in there. Just, I do it until the soul tells me to move on. And then I switch and do the other nostril, breathing in and out. That helps balance energy and focus. So that's one I'll do if I'm sitting in front of my computer and I've been like going like 20 tabs open and I don't even remember what tab, and then the phone rang and I don't know what's happening and I'm all over the place. I will stop and for 1 minute just do alternate breathing. You have 1 minute in your day that you can breathe. It focuses me right back, balances my energy back out. And then I'm like, okay, this is the most important spot for me to go. And I can get right back into work. Then we're getting into some more advanced. So those are the ones I recommend, like doing those, practicing those. But I do want to talk about some of the more advanced methods for those of our listeners who are like, yeah, I know all that. Here's some fun stuff. The Wim Hof method is deep cyclic hyperventilation. So it's breath holds, it's using cold exposure, and it's helping to increase your energy and resilience. It helps to regulate your nervous system by deregulating it consciously and like almost giving it a shock to bring it back into rhythm. So it's kind of like doing the paddles for your heart, but
right.
Hyperventilating, like if you just practice it really quick, just like make yourself breathe really fast. It's like you start to feel yourself just climbing, right? And then you would do like some kind of cold exposure. You can splash your face. Like I will have a bowl of water and splash my whole face into the ice cold water and then come out and hyperventilate again. And then cold exposure. And it kind of shocks my system. I'm back down. That one's really good. I don't go there very often, but if I'm crying, I'm in a huge grief, I'm working through one of those damn memories that I suppressed as a child, came out and smacked me upside the damn head. This is where I'm going to go to get myself out of it, because I can't even focus on my breath. I can't get a breath. I'm panicking. I'm ready to just like, I'm done. Yeah. I will do something like this to shock my system out.
Nice. Yeah. I've had panic attacks where I feel like I'm going to vomit, and there's no controlling breath when you're also having a nausea response. Like, I mean, I know when I have nausea, I'm supposed to go, breathe through it, but like that can be really, really hard. So interesting that there's this, my nervous system is being ambushed, so I'm going to ambush it right back kind of thing.
It's like driving on snow, and when you start to skid, like the counterintuitive of turning into the skid, it's that same kind of, it's just like lean all the way into it. Let your body dysregulate, and somehow it shocks it right back into starting to regulate. Then I can get into some of the other breathing that we talked about. I did an even more advanced version of that, which is holotropic breathing, which is like psychedelic therapy for your brain. And this was with a therapist. So you do not do this by yourself. You do this with a trained practitioner. And that involves a lot of rapid circular breathing, no pauses in between your inhale, exhale. So it's very rapid for a long time, what will happen to your body is it begins to pull all the energy from your extremities. So your body will curl in on itself. So you're essentially in a fetal position. Like you can't move your hands. It's your body has pulled everything into center mass. And what that does is lets go of your ego, part of the brain, and allows spiritual insights. So people do it as part of a spiritual journey to get, like, you're taking yourself into a little death. And so that gets everything to shut down so that you get these psychic insights through. I did it with a therapist to allow my body to process some trauma, right? And then it takes the therapist, like they come in and hit your sternum and start to massage to get you to come back into your body. And then they start pulling your extremities away from your body and massaging them to bring you back into your body. Really, really intense.
Oh, that's the word I was going to say. Yes, that sounds incredibly intense. Yeah.
But I'm having a little bit of a, like a trigger talking about it because it was a very traumatic moment in my life of remembering, like it was when gosh, how old was I? Maybe 27, 28. So it was one of the first times I was remembering some of that trauma, and I was in therapy with a therapist doing this work. So I'm having a little bit of a trigger having that memory. So just give me a second to come back to myself. All good. So yeah, it can be a really great tool, but definitely use it with a Kundalini instructor, a therapist who is trained in that. It was created by Dr. Stanislav Grof. So you can go check that out and read a little bit more about it. Do not try on your own. You can't bring yourself back out. Shamanic breath work is another. I'm imagining you could share a little bit more about shamanic breath work.
I really actually have not done this.
Really?
Really?
They didn't teach that in your shamanic class.
They did not. Drumming, yes, just listening to the drum, to the rattle, that's it, but not, let's see, you have it written, it's a high tempo drumming, and the technique uses rapid, deep breathing to induce a trance state. This sounds a lot like breath that's used in the background of like Viking metal. I don't know if you've listened to any Viking metal, but there's a lot of throat breathing, throat singing in that kind of music as well. But there's a huge emphasis on this breath that happens in the background noise of, I don't know, I call it Viking metal. I don't know what else it is, but
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Sounds like that.
I love throat singing. Yeah, it is a lot. They're definitely using a shamanic breath work. And so it's really to help get you into that state of mind. So you're passing alpha brain waves and getting more into your delta brain waves.
Yeah. Similarly, different, but because we share on this podcast, I use a similar breathing during sex to heighten not asphyxiation. Totally different game.
Thank you for the clarification.
Breathing, not breathing. But this deep, this inhale. I do a lot of inhale during sexing so that pleasure is bigger and lasts longer. If you follow my drift.
I do.
So I don't know if that's like tantric breathing or whatever, but a similar effect. Like it brings me to a euphoric state because I'm saturating my system with oxygen with these really deep breaths. And they're
that
layered
makes sense
breaths.
Because it's going to increase your blood flow.
Really, thank you. Yes. Yeah.
All right.
But it's like,
now you guys know what to do. You have your instructions.
That's right. Your homework this week is, but it's like I'm stacking inhales. So exhale like that, right? A lot of rapid inhales and then the release. I don't know if that's a technique or whatever, but I made it up on my own. So not a sex therapist, not prescribing this to anybody, but breathwork for sex is also a thing.
Well, I think that what you're describing is the sky breathing.
Okay.
Which is like, it's a gateway to inner peace.
Yes, it is.
I think orgasms are a gateway to inner peace.
Feel like, yes, they are.
Yeah. I'm probably going to mispronounce it. My yoga teacher had taught this to us. It's Sudarshan Kriya, I think is how you pronounce it. Please don't hate me. It's a rhythmic breathing practice. So it incorporates slow, medium, and fast cycles to harmonize your biological rhythms. And my guess is when we're in sex, especially with a partner, your breathing starts to synchronize. And it is part of a tantric sex field, like to synchronize that breathing into a certain rhythm and pattern to heighten that pleasure for both partners. It clears emotional knots, which is why we can pair bond really easily during sex, and also opens that gateway towards peace.
Makes sense.
So go forth, breathe together, my friends.
That's right.
It's higher consciousness. Just tell your partner, babe, we're going to practice some meditation.
That's right. You are taking me places, and don't worry about it. Just hang on for the ride, and I will come back. I promise. Yeah. I'll be right here in a moment.
We need to schedule a sex magic episode.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Okay. What else we got? Vase breathing, which is a Tibetan Buddhist practice that's abdominal contractions. So it makes sense after what Kate was talking about with the diaphragm. So it's using it to generate psychic heat in the body. I will use this one in magical practice when I'm trying to build energy, and I'll use the vase breathing where I'm using an intense abdominal. So I'm pushing my abdominals in and pushing all the breath out. And then I let that force bring the energy in. And then I'll do some quick breathing to hold some of that energy. And I hold it right there in my solar plexus. And then I'll push that out with my breath into, the charm bag that I'm making or whatever it is, to then push that energy. So I use it to generate a lot of heat and psychic heat and then push it into the magic. Really, really useful. What else? Primordial breath is a Qigong technique where you breathe into your third eye. This is really good to help open up your psychic gifts. So you're breathing into, like, I imagine the third eye open like a big funnel coming out, and then the breath coming in through the psychic consciousness and bringing the information that I'm looking for into my third eye, and then breathing it out through my third eye and let it continue to expand, expand, expand to access higher spiritual dimensions. It's a fun one. And then, heart coherence meditation is just a specific cadence, but it's also focusing on the heart. So much like the third eye one, but you're doing it at the heart. I do the same thing, like that chakra funnel coming out through the heart, and I breathe the same rhythm into my heart, and I allow my heartbeat to start to match that breath. So I'll slow down my heart, and then I'll speed up my heart, and then I'll slow down my heart, and then I'll speed up. And this helps align your heart and your brain. Really good to do before you're making a big decision. Really good to do when you're in grief. It creates this feeling of unity inside your body. Like me just talking about it, I felt more connected with myself.
You guys can't see it. I'm touching my sternum because I feel this kind of spirally activation when you're talking about it, that like my heart is a lung in a way.
Mm-hmm. What I felt while I was talking about, because I was looking at Kate on the screen as I was doing it, and I just felt Kate and I completely connect heart to heart. Right? It was just like, there we are.
Hi, I see you. Yeah.
So really great to do with a partner if you're feeling disconnected from each other, to reconnect before you head out on date night.
Hit those mirror neurons, baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's a lot of breath work, and you can see how you can add that into your trauma responses, your daily work life, the stresses of the world, and also adding that into your magic. Some of the breathing techniques we talked about, definitely they can cause some dizziness. They can cause some tingling in the extremities, some emotional distress. So before you're trying some of the more advanced ones, maybe do that with a therapist. A lot of therapists have had breathwork training as part of their trainings. Talk with your therapist about it and do it in a safe environment with them if you're trying to process something. If you're using it for your magic, know that you could make yourself lightheaded. So maybe sit down to do that work, right? If you're going to get yourself into a little bit more shamanic breath. That's why shamans lie down.
True. Very true. We're not walking. We're not ambling.
Yeah. I've definitely made myself pass out before doing some of these breathing techniques while doing magic because I got caught up in the moment. So sit down. It's safer.
Makes sense.
No head injuries.
Very good. I like it. Thank you for guiding us through this. I mean, I think it's a really, obviously an important topic, one that is growing in awareness out in the ether for all of us. And as the horrors compound, I feel like we just need to reach for more and more and more techniques to regulate and stay pointed forward. You know, there's so much pressure to retreat right now that anything that keeps me just facing forward is valuable at the moment.
Absolutely. And if you're new to it all, just stick with those first 3 or 4 that we talked about. They're easy to get into, and then you can build from there. It's going to make a huge difference in your life. I promise you. Huge difference in your life. It's why I'm bringing awareness to it. I just taught it with the coven and wanted to bring it to the podcast because we all need a little bit more of this grounding and connection to ourselves and each other. And the breath doesn't cost us anything to do. So go breathe and get witchy with it. Do some witchy shit. Thanks for listening to Witching Out Loud. You can find us at Witching Out Loud on Substack, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow us for highlights and reminders. Subscribe for witchy tips, seasonal celebrations, and extended show notes. If you love our show and want to support us further, there's an option to support us monetarily on Substack, as well as sponsorships and advertising opportunities. So please share with us how you are witching out loud. Now go do witchy shit.